At the right time of the year, fishing topwater lures during the middle of the day, does it work? Absolutely. As we all know, normally early and late in the day, along with a little wind and overcast conditions, are an ideal time for topwater fishing. However, bright conditions in the middle of the day can be great also. Here's why. It has to do with bait fish activity. It's common for shad minnows to move up during these times when algae blooms begin to occur, to feed on surface algae and algae particles that are attached to cover like logs, stumps, bushes, brush, and treetops. By fishing that cover, you're putting your bait on the dinner plate of bass that move up to feed on the shallow bait. As the algae begins to bloom, it drifts and it attaches itself to these cover areas. The shad minnows move in to feed on that, and guess what? The bass follow. You're fishing along these cover areas at midday, your chances are mighty great. So topwater fishing is good in the middle part of the day. Try it. Good luck.
Traditionally, bass fishing has been a shoreline affair, and even deep water structure fishermen make occasional visits to this inviting form of landscape. You know, there's just something exciting about working along the bank, especially when you're fishing it with a topwater lure. Perhaps it's a constant anticipation that that little notch between the bush and that stump next to it will produce a nice-sized bass. Maybe it's just the pleasure and the solitude of being close to shore, listening to the many sounds and watching all the little critters who live there or close by.
Whoa, baby. Whoa. Woo. Talking about a whopper. All right, just open up now.
You know, something that's very important to this type of fishing is pinpoint accuracy. Being able to drop a lure exactly where you want it to land is part of the fun and the excitement of fishing the bank. And it'll produce more fish for you in the long run, I'll promise you. Nothing is more frustrating to a shoreline fisherman than the constant need to ease into the bushes or trees to untangle a lure that's crocheted around an overhanging limb. Believe me.
There's a bass. Oh, come out of there. Oh, get out of that bush. Get out of that bush. A bunch of brush in there. Come on, baby. Boy. Boy, I was pulling with all my might with this little pole. Let me get you somewhere where I don't get a hook. Wow. He had it at the corner of his mouth. I didn't even get it back in his mouth. I got it all in my hand. Can you believe that? Look at that. How you doing? See you, buddy. What are the advantages to fishing a topwater bait with mono or braid? Well, one of the advantages to using braid, it gives a sharper action to your bait with so much less effort from the wrist. And when you set the hook at a long distance, you've got more hook setting power. than you do with monofilament due to the stretch factor. Normally, you don't get good action on your lure at the end of a really long cast with mono because of that stretch. The longer mono stays in the water, it absorbs water. Therefore, the stretch factor increases and you get stretch in mono anyway. It's also smart to add a short section, say 12, 14 inches of a fluorocarbon leader on the end of your braid. It stiffens and prevents the bait and or hooks from catching the line. Now my choice in a rod for this type of fishing would be a medium heavy rod, say 6'9", which is easy to cast at close range targets and for long range as well. Ooh, baby. Ooh, what a jump. Well, he got it too. Where he going? Whew, oh, he got that thing. There we go. Pretty little fish, isn't he? Okay, let me show you my most productive retrieve with this popper type bait. Normally, I have my best success by casting the lure out, and once it hits the surface, what I do, sometimes I allow it to sit for a few seconds or so, then I begin to work it with 5 short popping jerks, then allow it to rest. In other words, the presentation is 5 pops and a pause. That's the way I have my best results. Now, I don't always let it sit after a 5 pops. Sometimes I just keep it moving. But I'll go pop, 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 pause. And other times I'll go pop, 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 and I don't let it sit very long. Then I'll keep pop, 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 pop. But I'll mix it up. But normally, it's 5 pops, and I'll pause just for a little bit, and then I'll go pop, 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 pop. And what it's doing, it's got a little walk the dog move to it as it pops along. So it's going pop, 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 pop. Now let it sit just for a second. Taking up my slack, pop, 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 pop. Look up, ooh, he boiled it. He's got it that time. Whoa. Another pretty good one. Whoa. He hit it just going pop, 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 and a pause. Okay, easy now. Easy, Buster. I hate it when I get them in the bottom lip because there's no place you can grab them. Hard to get unhooked when they get it in the bottom lip. There we go. Speaking of action, let's spend a minute and discuss speed. Now, as far as retrieve speed goes, normally you'll find that a faster, more erratic retrieve works best in late spring and early fall when bass are bunched up and aggressively chasing shad. At other times of the year, you got to alter your presentation to coincide with the conditions, locations, and the mood of the fish. Sometimes it's fast, other times it's slow. Sometimes loud, and sometimes quiet. You got to always remember to experiment with different presentations when fishing lures of this type, simply because the personality of the bass changes so doggone often. What worked an hour ago may continue to work all day, but it could change on your very next cast. Once you find the best retrieve, you got to stick with it until you feel it's not going to produce any longer. Then begin with a different presentation until the fish tell you what they like best. Something as simple as a fast, slow, fast to pause, or a slow, fast, slow to pause
can make a difference.
There he is. Couldn't stand it. I saw you coming. Saw you coming. Had to have it. Boy, you come up on that log, just smoking it. I'm going easy with you. Woo. Got it too, didn't you? You got it. Got you a mouthful of that thing, didn't you? All right, easy now. All right, there we go. Very nice. See, buddy. Boom.